Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Far Lands or Bust. Indeed. Far Lands or Bust, episode 373. Hey, guy. How's the water? Skeletons. I tell ya. Skeletons, skeletons, skeletons. Wolfie, Wolfie, Wolfie. And that is east. We want to go west, 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 which is in the general direction of the skeleton. I will let him live. I will let him live and enjoy his Wednesday afternoon dip. Although his friend seems to have stayed out of the water a little bit too long. Because, where was I getting at? I had a whole, planned in my head, a little bit of a segue there. Yeah, the Wednesday. It's a Wednesday afternoon dip, because today is Wednesday, July 2nd, 2014. Welcome to July. It is a different month, and the one that follows June, for those of you new to this planet. But yeah, episode 373 here on July 2nd, 2014. And woof, I should do this more often, but just before I started recording, I posted up on Twitter. We were near $6,000, and I posted on Twitter, hey, who wants to donate to Child's Play charity to get us up over $6,000 for this season so far? And you guys did thusly raised in that short amount of time more than $100. So we're actually up to $6,111.22. And it's possible somebody else has donated in the meantime, and I apologize. I needed to start the recording. But yeah, a bunch of donations came in. Thank you very much to those people who saw that tweet and donated, and I will follow up and keep my end of the bargain and give a shout out. I got an anonymous donation in part of there, but the people who did leave their names, thank you very much for responding and donating via my Twitter message. Thomaso LP, Kelvin, Drew, Andrew, not to be confused with Drew, but Andrew, Cherry P Gamer, Chris, who dares me to pick up some clay. I will do that if I find some in the vicinity. And Renee Kavak, in quotation marks. I'm assuming their online name is Kavak, Savak, C-A-V-A-C. Give an extra bone chop to Wolfie for me. Okay, I will do such things as these. Wolfie's ready. I think you were perhaps inspired. There we go, an extra one. You were perhaps Wolfie maybe got in contact with you, was like, give a donation and tell him to give me a bone. But I'll keep my eye out for some clay. But yeah, I appreciate all those donations and all the other ones we've been getting, regardless of whether or not they came in due to that tweet or not. To Child's Play charity at farlandsorbust.com. Great cause, and of course, like I said, this season 5. Yeah, this is season 5 of Far Lands or Bust. We don't have a particular goal. We don't have an end mark, as I have in previous seasons, switching things up a bit and trying some different things, but I do appreciate, regardless of that, the continued support for Child's Play charity and for Far Lands or Bust. Indeed. Well, now we have to obtain a pork chop. Ooh, a couple pork chops to replace the one we fed to Wolfie. And there goes that axe. Our axe broke. Piano music. All right. So speaking of, well, there's really no segue here. But speaking of words, I've been getting a lot of messages and continue to get a lot of messages, despite the fact that I have indeed acknowledged it. But we have another contender for a Minecrafter, a YouTuber, content creator, attempting to reach the edge of the Minecraft world. I am, of course, speaking of JL2579, affectionately known as JL Zipcode. May be familiar with him. He's part of the Zip crowd, does a lot of videos with DocM77, also was a guest on a previous season of Mindcrack UHC. he has been and will continue to ride a minecart to the literal end of the Minecraft world at 30 million blocks from 00 over the next 14 days. He's traveling east, perhaps to set himself apart from Farlands or Bust. He's traveling east on a minecart continually and non-stop, live on Twitch, on his Twitch channel, in the latest, well, in one of the latest snapshots, Minecraft Snapshot 14W11B. And yeah, that's pretty cool. It continues to go on right now, as I said. And, you know, he's been getting well over 2,000 views consistently on there. And he got a post on Kotaku where they said, you know, they compared it to the Farlands or Bust journey. But that's very cool and very awesome. And I've been checking in every now and again, and he honestly doesn't even need to be there. He checks out and just lets the game run, and that's a kind of a cool thing. But like I said, all the info is on his Twitch channel, but he's doing it in 14W11B. He wanted to do it in 11A, because that was the snapshot where they sped up minecarts to 30 meters per second, and also minecarts could fall off the carts, but that caused, there was a pretty significant, game-crashing bug there that caused, you know, a crash. So he has to use the 11B snapshot, which actually slows the minecarts back to their original top speed of 20 meters per second. But in doing the math, at 20 meters per second, continually riding on powered minecart rails, it will take 14 days for him to reach from 00 to 30,000 kilometers, 30 million blocks. Yeah, that's 30,000 kilometers. Each block is a meter from spawn. So very cool stuff indeed. I wish him the best of luck. At 21 hours and 10 minutes into that journey, he reached what was estimated to be my distance. I'm not sure if that was the 1479940, which was my last F3 distance, or just an estimated distance as to where I probably am right now. And I unfortunately was away from the computer at the time, but he pre-built a KurtJMac statue in the UHC statue style at that mark as he passed by, and people sent me that screenshot. That was very cool indeed. And yeah, some very cool stuff. His world save, it's a pre-generated world because he's using command blocks to pre-generate this minecart bridge. It's basically an endless bridge that just travels along one axis, and if it encounters a mountain like this, it will dig a hole through the mountain and protect him. And he's playing in creative mode, so he can't die, and I do believe it's also peaceful mode to kind of reduce the amount of mob spawns and anything like that, or the possibility of getting shot off as minecart, which I'm not sure if that can happen or not in creative mode. But yeah, his world save, because it's pre-rendered and pre-generated, is what is it? 286 gigabytes. Right now, I checked before recording, Farlands or Bust, this world is 12,801 megabytes, so over 12.5 gigs. So that's interesting, and obviously he's traveling much further than we're going to be traveling. We're playing in Minecraft Beta 1.7.3 when the Farlands actually exist. The Farlands don't exist in his version of the game. But yeah, he's going to 30 million. The Farlands, are at 12,500,000 blocks. So gives you a pretty cool perspective on the differences of distance there, whereas he's constantly traveling 24 hours a day. It'll take him 14 days. I'm not traveling 24 hours a day. I'm doing this every other day for about 35 minutes each. And people suggest it might take 20 or whatever years for me to get there. So very different journeys indeed, but kind of a cool thing. I'm very, very happy to kind of see that happening. I'm not sure, you know, it's very hard. I actually... I'm doing the press round still. I did an interview on Monday with another publication, and I'll let you know if that article ever gets released and link you to it or whatever. But they asked, you know, how long, or no, one of the questions they asked is anybody else doing this? Are you the only one who's doing this? And like, well, nobody, this is kind of a new question. I don't really get asked for these interviews. I don't think so. I have heard of either fans or other people say, oh, we're going to do it too, Kurt. Do you mind if I travel to the far lands and record it and put it up on YouTube? And they'll do it for a week or two or a couple months at most, and then you'll never hear from them again. So, as far as I am aware, KurtJMac, am the only one walking in legitimate, I suppose is what you could say, without any sorts of mods or things like that. Get out of here, tree. You're in my way. Walking to the far lands and continuing to do so, in that I have not given up. And I, as far as I know, was the first way back in the day, back in 2011, to say, hey, I want to do this, and foolishly set off in a westward direction to do so. But now we have this kind of second, not quite walking to the far lands, obviously not quite without any sort of mods or in-game, generation affecting the terrain generation, but a very cool endeavor nonetheless. So let's go to sleep and continue talking and walking in the morning. And awakeness. I saw some green movement off in the distance. We are not alone in this journey. Oop. But yeah, kind of, cool stuff to see that. That's a very cool journey indeed. And also, I'm kind of wondering if he's obviously passed, and he has most recently put up a coordinate counter that gives the distance. I don't press F3 and I don't give spoilers, and originally he wasn't pressing F3 or giving spoilers as to where he was, but I guess he got enough requests where he put up a little a coordinate counter, but he's well beyond 2 million blocks from spawn, so I wonder if his journey is going to have to deal with this floating point precision, because that's, even though the far lands aren't in the game, this is still in the game. The jitteriness, the offset of the block selection, the entity versus the terrain. And he's riding in a minecart. He started at 0, 0, so he's only traveling along one axis of movement. So I wonder if that will end up affecting. He's traveling much too fast, and he's not stopping to see if there is any offset with the block selection to know. But I wonder if that might affect the travel, or the rate of travel, or is a minecart an entity or a block? I kind of think it's a block. It's treated as a block that happens to move. Maybe, I'm not sure. So yeah, that's something interesting to find out. We certainly have 13 more days to see if anything happens, but very cool stuff indeed. And it is nice to see in the chats and whatnot that somebody else other than me is having to deal with the constant repeat of the same questions over and over and over again, like, press F3, when's he gonna press F3? And what's the purpose of all this? Or this is the most boring thing ever, why would anybody do this? Or when will he get there? When will he get there? When will he get there? Are we close? Are we close? So I'm like, haha, I am not the only one now who has to deal with these questions. But I mean, it also, going back, if you were around and you are subscribed to my channel, and you saw yesterday I uploaded a video in a game called Mountain. It's basically a game where you randomly generate a mountain and you watch the mountain, or you play as the mountain, and random things happen to the mountain over the course of a possible 50 hours of gameplay of simply watching your 3D mountain exist and evolve slightly throughout time. And I kind of used that game to start a little bit of a conversation about what is a game. Does it have to be interactive? Does it have to have a mechanic, a point, a good guy, a bad guy, a winning or losing state? And looking at JL Zipcode's Journey to the Far Lands, or not to the far lands, excuse me, to the edge of Minecraft, to the render limit of Minecraft, is that a video game? Him, like I said, he doesn't even need to be there, and a lot of the times he isn't there. It's just watching the camera from third-person perspective of his player in a minecart, traveling forward at a set speed. Is that iteration of Minecraft a video game? There's no point. I mean, there's an end state, I suppose. There's an end state in Mountain. There's literally no inputs he could give to change his outcome or the desired rate at which he moves. When he is at his computer, he will change the camera every now and again. I saw him enable and disable a thunderstorm just for the fun because people kept asking, and but otherwise, yeah, we could say Minecraft is a game because, we can play it as a game or we can make a creative thing, and even, that brings up the question, is the creative mode of Minecraft a game? Or is it a creative building tool in 3D? But yeah, that, not only can we say on a game-by-game basis, is Mountain a game, is Proteus a game, is Space Engine a game, but we can also ask within the same game, depending on how you play it, is it a game? So, kind of cool discussion happening there, and I don't know if anybody brought that up about Jail Zip Code's journey, or even my journey. Am I playing Minecraft right now in Farlands or Bust as a game? You could probably argue more so in my case, because I'm actually in control. I can go left or right or jump or don't jump, or I can turn around and go back, and I have Wolfie to feed and health to deal with. But GL Zip Code is playing in creative mode, peaceful mode. There's no there might be a chance due to game glitch that he might fail his mission, but I doubt it. I think he's done some pretty thorough testing beforehand in both designing the way the minecart travels through the world and the generation, of the bridge that he's traveling on. Also the fact that if there does happen to be any sort of entity that spawns on the track, whatever he's done with the command blocks kills any mob on the track automatically, so he's thought about it quite a bit. But is that a game? Think about that. Twist your noodle around that, meatball. That's an awesome image to think about. So yeah, very cool stuff anyway. But we're going to continue on here in Farlands or Bust. What else do I want to talk about? Oh yeah, I mentioned that we had the very awkward encounter with the maintenance person fixing the ceiling that was leaking over the winter due to the ice dam, and got that fixed, but I still had to paint it, and I didn't know, like, how do you match paint? Did I talk about this, or did I just rant about this on Twitter? I don't remember. Basically, it's white. It's as if you were to move into an apartment. The walls are white. That is the paint I had to match, and I did not have the paint. There was a paint can from the previous owners that was a white paint that I thought, well, this must be, this is the only white in the place here, so this must be the white paint. And I went to start painting. I'm like, this is not the same white. There are different shades of white, apparently, I've been informed right now. So I had to go out and find the proper shade of white to paint over the patch job that was done. And I went to the hardware store. I took your guys' advice, and I actually, with an X-Acto knife, cut out a small square, which was a lot more difficult than was originally thought. I thought maybe I would just cut out a square and you're able to kind of peel off the top layer of paint. No, it requires quite a bit of finesse and able to get it out in one piece, kind of like cracking a hard-boiled egg and trying to remove the egg as a whole, or the eggshell as a whole unbroken piece. Very difficult indeed. But I was able to take that to the hardware store, start shopping for paint, and I indeed found something that matched as close as I possibly could, but I was a little bit disappointed because there was one shade darker, one shade less white, I suppose you could say, and the name of that color was Teabag. And I laughed right there in the paint aisle of the hardware store for a good 5 minutes. Oh, that had to have been intentional. They knew what they were doing when they named that color Teabag. Oh, that was great. I'm like, oh, I really wish the color was Teabag. I wanted to buy a bucket of paint of Teabag. Oh, man. Oh, and I know, yes, it could be also construed, well, you know, you drop or drip some tea on a white piece of paper, and it leaves kind of an off-white color, so that's why they could have named it tea bag. But they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were up to when they named that color tea bag. I just felt like you guys would enjoy that. Tea bag. Careful, Wolfie! Oh gosh, he took some damage there. Let's get him to spawn. Oh yeah, quite a bit of damage. Don't shoot him. Alright, let's get you back up to health here. Wolfie is not impressed with the teabag colored paint. But anyway, did that, got the painted can, got the can of paint, and I hate painting. I did that on Sunday, and it took me like 3 hours. Yeah, because the paint is not probably exactly the right paint color, and also due to the fading of the current paint, there's not an exact match. And even the little splotch I did here above my desk that started leaking in the wintertime. Because I know it's there, I can see a difference in the paint colors. So I'm gonna have to do some creative blending, sanding between the edges to kind of hide the fact that there was a patch job there. But it's close enough. But yeah, that 3 hours it took, I was just depressed. And I hated life for the rest of the day. It's just something about painting that absolutely just ruins my life. Oh, it sucks. Stupid rollers and having to deal with it splashing everywhere, and don't drip it, or is the drop cloth covering the right amount of stuff? And and now my being up on the ladder and stretching because it was on the ceiling and it's vaulted ceilings, and getting to the ladder, and it's actually over a stairwell on the entrance too, so don't fall. If you were to fall, not only would you fall to the ground, but you would fall to the ground way down there, 1 story down at the end of the steps. So yeah, my back is all jacked up from something, so complaining. My life is so difficult. But that's hopefully over and done with, and that's the last painting I will ever have to do for the rest of my life. That would be nice. I would enjoy that. But let's continue on and answer some questions from other Child's Play charity donors in the morning. And teabagging. Oh man. That was hilarious. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Well done, namer of off-white paint colors. You gave me quite the chuckle, quite the hearty chuckle indeed. But yeah, we have a bunch of questions here from donors, but also I have a leftover, I should not use the spawn pointy, the diamond sword of spawn pointiness for taking out cacti. But let's answer a question from the comments I got a few videos ago, but they asked, Fatoa asked, why don't you just tunnel through a mountain that is in a way instead of always going around or over a mountain? I suppose, you know, I got this question before Jail Zip Code's journey began, but in that regard, you know, his tunneling program or whatever he's done with the command blocks tunnels out an appropriate tunnel through a mountain or any other tree or obstacle that gets in the way. So this person is asking, why don't I do that in Far Lands or Busts? Let's see. If we do come across even just a gentle hill or mountain, let me do that, and I'll show you why. Is this a good enough? Yeah, let's say, no, that's you know, I don't want it to be like an actual full-on mountain. But long story short, that would greatly reduce the speed at which I'm traveling. This is Minecraft Beta 173. I don't have any enchanted items here. I only have an iron pick and shovel, which take a little bit longer than a diamond one would in this version of the game. But that would just not only take a long time, but be really boring, almost like traveling through the Nether. I don't know that anybody wants to just see a 2x1 tunnel for half an episode. That would be incredibly boring footage. and not really to the point that we're enjoying. We are enjoying the Minecraft Beta 173 terrain generation. Being out and on top of that, of this terrain is kind of the one of the things that attracts people, and even myself, to the series, is enjoying the journey as opposed to the destination. So that is why I do not tunnel, but let's tunnel right here. This looks like a good place to tunnel. I think we'll come out at least on the other side. Another problem, you heard that spider. Another problem we would encounter is the possibility of digging into an underground cave, as opposed to the above ground caves. That could put us and Wolfie. Oh God, Wolfie, come back, Wolfie. Wolfie, where you at? Well, there's another problem. Wolfie apparently might take damage. Let's have Wolfie sit down. We'll be right back. We're just trying to prove a point. But yeah, I think due to the offset block selection and this narrow pathway, Wolfie might glitch into a block and take damage, which I think might be what happened there. So there's another reason not to dig through, but I don't know that I would want the majority of my Farlands Bust episodes to be this footage. I mean, obviously I chose a very small... Ooh. Oh, yeah, speaking of danger, good lord. A very small mountain here, so we're going to pop out the other side, hopefully, pretty quickly. But look at how long this takes. And here we go. We have yet another of my fears realized. Breaking into a cave. Even if I... Oh, that's a sheep. Okay. Good lord, that scared me. Even if I try to make it safe, it's not exactly that. Wow, I hope I do break out the other side here. I'm just trying to make a point. I don't really actually want to do this for real. This is just me being stubborn. Oh, and then we also have, of course, gravel to deal with. Stuff falling on us from above. It's just taking forever and ever and ever. And eating up all of our resources. Good gravy. I was hoping I would break through to the other side to say I did it at least once, but this is a disaster of the highest proportions. I cannot deal with this. This is a terrible thing indeed. All right. Oh, is this coming to the end? I'm hearing sheep. I can't see. I should probably place a torch because you guys can't see either. I forget that the brightness is by default very moody. Alright, here we go. We've come out the other side. And boy, was that a waste. Oh, and hey, well, look at that. We found a spawner. A sheep spawner? Hey guys, how you doing? Let's take you out with some arrows. The sheep protects us. Oh, wonderful sheep. How I owe you many things. Alright. I gotta be careful of this kind of... Careful, sheep. I'm doing things. Oh my god. Okay, now the sheep is just getting in my way. Oh, careful, I'm gonna shoot myself. Shoot myself! Alright. Dang zombies. What do we got? Saddles, string... Buckets, gunpowder. Ooh, I could use this for something. That's a lot of gunpowder. Like a couple TNTs. Blow this place kingdom come. All right, enjoy your little new home there, sheep guy. But yeah, this is why we don't tunnel, which is actually reason enough for me to do one of these jobbies. This is why we don't tunnel. This is what is today, July 2nd, 2014. This is why we don't tunnel, because it's boring and also dangerous. Oh, man. All right, so what are we going to do here? We're going to go back, we're going to grab Wolfie, and then we're going to experience the same distance traveled, but not through the tunnel, above the tunnel. in a way that we'd much prefer to do. All right, let's do that. The spawner was an interesting touch, however. Thank you very much, Minecraft. But yeah, that just takes so long, and is really just a disgusting thing to do indeed. Oop, now I hear more zombies. All right, yeah, Wolf. Hi, sorry, I apologize. Here, wait, come back. Have a treat for dealing with me just leaving you abandoned there and having my own fun and taking a heart of damage on my way. But let's go around as we would. Let's not forget Wolfie, for crying out loud. Good lord. And yeah, check it. It's not the most beautiful landscape we're experiencing here, but it's the blue skies. We are getting our vitamin D from the sun. We see the clouds. We can see the vistas on the horizon. Kind of an interesting little mountainy type of thing over there. The sheep. And now we're safely on the other side, and I didn't pick up this wool. And of course, Wolfie hasn't taken any damage either. So yeah, kind of that's the reason. But I do appreciate that question. That was actually probably not the first time I've been asked that, but the first time I've answered it and actually done that test. So the first and last tunnel through a little gentle hill here in Farlands or Bust. Let's look at a question. We're actually running out of time here. So much for those donor questions. Let's answer a question from from Delta Whiskey. Delta Whiskey asks, if you could be any classification of star, what would you be? This is a strange and unusual question. The Sun's G2V, Aldebaran's K5 III. I don't know all the classifications of stars off the top of my head, and I don't know that you can be a classification of star. Like, they're not sentient beings. They're not conscious beings. They're not self-aware. They're not, I'm not personally one for attaching. Anthropomorphizing, what's that word? Anthropomorphizing? Applying human characteristics to inanimate objects. I'm not too much into that, so I don't know what classification of star I would be. I honestly don't know. I mean, I think, astronomically speaking, a white dwarf, generally at the center of a what are those called? Planetary nebula are the most interesting because they come with the planetary nebula. You have the dumbbell nebula, you have the ring nebula, and other things like that you can actually see through your telescope. The Crab Nebula, they all have at the center a white dwarf because they were once stars, main sequence stars, much like our sun is, and then they ran out of their hydrogen fuel, and they shed their skin and collapsed upon themselves, and all that gas being sent out into interstellar space creates a very, very beautiful thing to look at through a telescope. So I don't know if you're asking in general what my favorite type of star is or what, but that's probably what I would go for. I mean, I know there are supermassive, red giants and brown dwarves and things like that, which are also, astronomically speaking, interesting for scientific reasons, but I'll go with a white dwarf. Unassuming, kind of, like myself. I don't really call too much attention to myself, but otherwise it's the stuff, it's the aura around me that is far more interesting than the star itself, I suppose you could say. Whoop! Speaking of stars, let's shed some light on this situation and dig out not a tunnel, but the final hidey hole of this episode 373. Thank you very much to those folks who follow me on Twitter who donated at the last minute to Child's Play charity to get us over $6,000. That's awesome, and of course that, as always, goes directly to Child's Play charity, helping get toys, books, games to kids in hospitals around the world. Whoops again. And great cause indeed, and I appreciate that and all donations there at farlandsorbust.com. Whoops. I also want to thank you for watching this episode of Far Lines or Bust. Leave a like. That really helps. I appreciate that. I know even despite people's objections as to whether or not Mountain is a game or not, and they say it's completely boring sitting there watching a mountain, it is actually kind of a popular video that in the last day, and that is due in most part to the fact of how many likes it has gotten, and that really does help the visibility of not only a particular video, but my channel and myself as a full-time YouTuber Let's Player here, and it really helps me out in my endeavors and in bringing you guys more content like this. I'm guilt-tripping you into pressing the like button. But no, thank you very much for watching. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time.